Mollett, Salek. The show is in honor of. Back in February, we usually do a Black History show with veterans of color, and we come and we talk about their experiences in the service. Unfortunately, back in February, I spent most of the month in a hospital with some surgery, and we never did get that show off the ground. We played last year's show on the air. And in respect for Black History Month and respect for our guests, we decided we'll do the show anyway. And it doesn't have to be Black History Month, but we could talk about their experiences in the military, their experiences with the VA, their experiences with the American Legion, VFW, and all the other organizations. So I'd like this opportunity to welcome our guests. First of all, my co-host, as always, Paul Dietrich. Yep. And Paul, I'm glad we got this off the ground today, despite...
Even though it was a surprise to you.
It was a surprise, exactly. Okay. Back with us again, Keith Mollett. Keith, good friend, and he came with us through Paul Dietrich, and he has a wealth of history. And Joe Skinner, who's been with us 100 times. And our newest guest, who actually spends most of his time on the other side of the camera, Terry Converse. Terry, Marine, Army. Keith, tell us a little bit about your background and when you served.
I was going to the bank to sign my check and cash it, and didn't realize I was in a recruiter's office. Yeah, they got me.
They got you.
I came up through a military family with uncles and grandfathers, fathers. It encouraged me because each one of them was in a different branch of the military, so I was able to be fortunate to learn about each branch and make my own choice. So I made my choice to join the Army. I thought that would be the best thing for me, and it worked out for me very well.
Where'd you serve?
I served in the United States Army.
Okay.
Over at Fort Benning, Georgia, then went up to West Orange for the National Guards and completed my career.
Didn't you also serve in Iraq?
Yes.
That's what we
at the Cuba and Iraq. Touched down in Afghanistan for a short time. Luckily, I was able to come back. I was on the wrong plane. I was taking vacation, and I got on the wrong plane and ended up in Afghanistan.
That's a mistake you don't want to make too often.
Yeah.
That's some mistake there, boys.
Yeah.
Well, I was hanging out with the Marines, and...
Oh, the Marines led you astray?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got me. Yeah, it was... I loved them, guys.
Now, speaking of Marines, Joe Skinner. Joe, it's always good to see you.
Same here.
We spent a lot of time kibitzing back and forth and see who could one-up each other with the jokes. But you're welcome here, Joe, and I thank you for everything. Give us a little bit of your background.
Thank you. I, like Keith, came from a military family, but military is my brothers. As each one graduated high school, they joined the military. So I had 2 brothers in the Air Force and one in the Navy when I graduated, and I joined the Marine Corps. Ended up in Vietnam, did a tour, 12 months, 23 days, tell you to the day. And while there, I did pretty good. I got promotions. I was a corporal, but I was also a platoon sergeant, a billet, usually reserved for a higher rank. And I did well. I got citation, and
You were telling us after you were out, you had to actually dress up in uniform.
Yeah, they knocked on my door. I seen the Marine officer. I said, what's he want?
Yeah.
And he told me I got awarded a citation that I had to come in uniform, and officially he was a Navy Chief with Combat V from the Secretary of the Navy, because the Marine Corps, unfortunately, is part of the Navy. But yeah, I enjoyed my time. Even Vietnam, it wasn't all bad. There was some good times. I met some good people, and to this day, I still talk talk to a lot of people from my platoon. We got a website and with all the names and everything, but my point man's from Oklahoma, my platoon sergeant, and we speak like once a week. And I get calls from all over the United States, and
That's a good thing.
it is a good thing.
Good thing. Because especially if you served in Nam, the best people you had to communicate with were guys who also served in Nam. Okay, I mean, if you had friends that were just general guys that were never went in the military, and you came out, you couldn't relate to them hanging around with them. You couldn't, be on the same level when you talked to each other. They didn't understand what you went through, what your experiences were. Most of them have never seen death, and unfortunately, that comes with the territory of being, especially in combat. So, and as I said, I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Like I said, it took me years to realize that I had PTSD. And I still go, to this day, I still go to sessions once a week for post-traumatic stress syndrome. But,
That's a good thing.
It comes with the territory.
It comes to the territory. And unfortunately, a lot of guys till today don't realize that they have it. Guys who served in that type of a theater, combat theater, they got this man up thing, There's nothing wrong with me, I can handle it myself, that type of attitude. And once you realize it, that's when you get the right help.
Yeah.
So, Terry, tell us about your background in the military.
Well, I joined the Marine Corps. I was, I guess I would say, a adolescent, kind of losing the grip, running around, doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And one day I decided, me and a friend, to join the Marine Corps. Get out of here, get myself together. And it panned out very well. I mean, I went in during peacetime. There was no worries there going to combat or anything. But I ended up having to leave early after 2 years because of a family issue. And I think to this day, that's like one of my greatest regrets, because I was really into it. I loved the Marine Corps. It was a good experience for me. Pretty much made me who I am today. I have to give them credit. It turned me around. It was a beautiful thing.
And that was true of a lot of guys who served. We went in as kids in our minds, and we came out as men.
Yeah.
So
Great experience. I try to offer it to everybody.
now the Colonel, Paul Dietrich, my co-host.
Yes.
Now, the one thing, I got to be honest with you, I tease you all the time about being a colonel, but I have the greatest respect for you, not because you were a colonel, but because you started down at the bottom. You went in as a buck private, and you worked your up through the rank.
Fort Dix, New Jersey. Yes, 1975. But I want to point out one thing to the audience here. Everybody here is a member of the American Legion. Everybody here on this stage is a member of the American Legion. And one thing that I find is that in general, black veterans do not belong to the organizations in anywhere near the representation that they are in the service. And I'm very proud that we have 3 members here that are members of the American Legion, and we need to have more from the general society, from the general veteran population. The organizations are there to help other veterans. So the only way that we can get the help to the different veteran populations is by having representation of all of us veterans. And that is why it's important. Some of us are also members of the VFW because of where we served. Same exact concept. we also do shows with women veterans, because now women veterans are about 17% of the population of the veterans in this country. So again, we need the representation of the different groups, the different races of veterans out there, so that we can find out the unique problems that you might have or that the women might have, so that we can work on those so that all veterans will be in a better place. And that's what the organizations are about. So again, very, very proud to have you three as members of the American Legion.
Can I say something, Paul?
Sure.
I have a lot of friends that are black veterans, and they just don't want to make the time.
Well,
You know, I belong to also, you said VFW, I belong to Vietnam Veterans of America, and we have a same amount. I think we have 2 blacks, and but they just don't want to come in.
I think that there is a history there which is unfortunate, in that, again, many of the groups are largely white male. And I think that we have to overcome that. And the only way to overcome it is by being involved and by joining. And hey, I don't know any other way to do it. Our post, for my VFW post, for example, has black members. We have 7 female members. That is very low. That's 10% of our strength is female. And that's very unusual. You just don't see that. But in the general veteran population, you do. So I'm reaching out there to black veterans. You need to join these organizations. You need to get involved, because that is the only way the organization will ever change and become more representative. And hey, there's a lot of good things going on in the veteran community, and the only way you're probably going to hear about it is to belong to the organizations. So,
One of the things that I really, in World War II, the military was primarily segregated.
absolutely.
I saw million stories where black veterans in World War II were relegated to
Stevedores.
stevedores. Yeah, exactly. So when that war ended and the American Legion took place, the black veteran was set aside, unfortunately. Okay. Then when Vietnam came to an end, the World War II veterans were quite cold, in my
The
opinion,
Vietnam veterans.
towards the Vietnam vets. It's like, as far as they were concerned, we didn't fight in a real war. Well, unfortunately, we all bled the same blood and we died, whether it was World War II, Korea, or Vietnam, okay? But the Vietnam guys weren't generally accepted when they came out of the military. And I know personally, we were made not to feel welcome. So we chose, hey, if you don't want me in your organization, I don't care. I'm just not going to join. I'll go do my thing and forget about it. And forget about it I did for a great number of years, as many other veterans did from Vietnam. They didn't get involved when they first came out. And 20, 30 years went by before they did get involved. And that was a sad state of affairs. And that's all been turned around now. And the idea is to get the message out to the guys that, hey, whether you're black, white, or yellow,
You bleed red.
we all bleed red.
Yes.
Okay? Okay? We all get crosses put on our graves. So.
4-star Davids.
Yeah. So I think that's the organizations now, the American Legion and VFW. It's a whole different ball game. if you become a member, you're welcome there. And you do belong
He's
there.
the newest vice commander right here in the middle.
Yeah.
In the American Legion right here on Staten Island, the newest vice commander. And again, the idea is to be inclusive. We want members. We want, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what religion, it is, you're a veteran, you served. And doesn't matter where you served, because none of us had a choice in where we served.
No, not at all.
The order came down and you went. That's what you
Exactly,
did.
yeah.
So,
Well, Keith, we'll start with you because you're being awful quiet.
that's not Keith.
No.
Gunshot.
Your view on Black History Month, your view on being black in the military. Now, you were in during Iraq, so things may have been different than Vietnam, and we'll compare the, but your views on, in general.
With that, I would say I didn't run through the problems that most of the guys on the stage have been through. When I came through, there were things there. When I went through basic training, my drill sergeant, he didn't like anybody. He didn't care who you were.
I think that's a common thread with drill sergeants.
Yes.
Especially in
They
the
didn't like
office.
me either.
Yeah.
But we had the commander that was there. He was a religious man, so he made sure that the whole company prayed before they ate, prayed before you went to sleep, and my drill sergeant didn't. So it ran where it wasn't about color, it was about your religion, because he had none, so he didn't recognize it, and he gave us all a hard time, and the things that he was saying about our religion, we didn't like, but we couldn't do anything about it. And it runs into different areas. Once I've experienced what I did, I found out that it's always into one group. And once you start separating them, then you start working into a different area.
Joe, how about you?
Yeah, first of all, George Sullivan, if you're listening, thank you. I was sort of like drifting in life, and he grabbed me, and he had me join the Vietnam Veterans of America. And that sort of straightened me out and put me back where I was supposed to be, on the even keel, and believing in myself once again. And I had a brotherhood that I could turn to. I can turn to any one of my chapter and get feedback. It's like I said, it's a brother. We're all friends. But like growing up, I grew up in a mixed neighborhood where, like you said, there was no color. People across the street played bocce ball and stick ball, and we did all
And
this
your
stuff.
best friend was white.
Yes,
I
John
remember you
Brown.
telling me that story, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, he got February 1st, date. Ted Offensive started. He was killed February 1st, 1968. Best friend in life. It drew me back for a little bit there. But anyway, joining the military was a big plus for me. Like I said, I realized who I was. They broke you down, they built you up, and you came out, you felt like basically a Superman. You had you were squared away, and you knew what here's what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, like Paul said, the government sent you where they wanted to send you. And
Yep.
my tour of duty was Vietnam, which, as far as color, there was no color. When you're in the foxhole, you're white, you're black, you're Jewish, you're German, you're Native American. You're all the same, because if you don't watch each other's butt, you're not coming home. That's just very simple.
How about in boot camp? Was that,
No, we.
Right. Keith said it was a religious thing with his commander and drill sergeant.
No, we had Southerners that hated all of us. We were all from New York. My whole platoon was from New York.
Oh, okay.
And I remember yelling, you got 60 seconds to get off the bus,
Yep.
and 59 seconds are gone. People jumping out windows, doing this, and that's just the way
I think
it was.
I had the same drill sergeant. He didn't like New Yorkers at all.
Me too.
And we were all New Yorkers, and they throw your strip blades, throw your dope, throw your needles, throw your knife, throw everything on the table. And to my surprise, some of this stuff came on the table from the guys from the guys from Bronx and Manhattan and stuff like that. And I was totally shocked because I knew nothing about this stuff. But you learn, you live and learn. But that was boot camp was very enlightening to me. And there's a few people. I made PFC out of boot camp, and there's like 3 or 4 people that make PFC out of boot camp. So I guess I excelled at what I did, because whatever I did, I wanted to be the best at what I did.
Right.
And I guess it paid off.
Terry, how about you? Now, you were during peacetime, so it would be maybe a whole different atmosphere. Keith was, in
What, in boot
Iraq,
camp?
and Joe was in for Vietnam. How about you?
Well, starting at boot camp, I don't think peacetime made a difference. The training, the mental state was all the same.
Oh no, not in the Marine Corps.
It was like it was going to be a war tomorrow. So the training went just like that.
And every Marine's a rifleman.
Yes. Oh yeah, you had to recite that every night. But I think once I got to Camp Lejeune, I mean, I hear it was real racial at some points or another, but in the 70s when I was there, it wasn't like that. It was like you was just a Marine, period. You was either qualified to be a Marine or you were not, period. That's how they treated you. So if you were slacking, that's how they treated you. You were slacking, you need to come up or make a decision. That was it. It was just a Marine.
A Marine for life, then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Paul?
Well, I found the same exact type of thing. When you get first thrown in with a group of people in basic training, it's kind of like a rude awakening to your life has changed, especially when you've got the Southerner. There always seemed to be a Southerner that was yelling at you. But I found that, again, it didn't matter what race you were, what creed you were, whatever. It was what you could do. Can you shoot? Can you march? And better be able to march right. Can you do KP? Because we used to have KP. Most of us did KP. Nowadays, there's no more KP, guys, gals. Sorry. Missed out on that wonderful experience of finding out just how they made that mess, dining facility work. But I saw no difference between how people were treated. And I think that carried through my entire 35 years in the service. To me, the military was the most equal organization I've ever seen. I think it was easily more equal than any civilian organization I've been in, and I think it was more equal than most of the rest of the United States.
I agree.
That's how it appeared to me. Now, everybody's experience is different from where they are, but that's how it appeared to me. We went out of our way to look at what someone could do and what someone had done versus what they were.
Yeah.
So,
I know in order to be a drill sergeant or a drill instructor in any of the services, you're not allowed to be from New York. Because
there aren't any.
Because I had the same thing. I went to the Great Lakes for training, and we got up there, and you can't be mafioso because you got a Polish name. That was me they were talking to. I made the mistake of telling them my mother is Italian. Okay, you are mafioso. And in kind, they they got that rep, and they would just lay it on the New Yorkers, and they
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't let up on it. The drill instructors and
Well, in general, there are a lot of service people from the southern states. They tend to be more from the southern states than from other parts of the country.
It's actually part of their culture, it seems.
It is. And it's that they will go into the service, and actually it's a way for them to get ahead. Because if there are few jobs in the civilian world for you, going into the military may not be the worst thing in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I found this, my unit was in Western Pennsylvania. I found a lot of my younger members were trying to do it so that they could get a college education and they would have a steady job. There weren't any in Western Pennsylvania at the time I was there, or in my unit in West Virginia. There was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. It was Burger King or nothing.
Walmart.
Yeah.
There's food. Yeah.
That was what they had to look forwards to, and there was no way for them to go to higher education. So they were all coming into the reserve units in order to get some kind of education, some real world experience, be it good or bad, and to be eligible for the GI Bill so that they could go to school and get out of that.
Yeah. Well said. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being here. Keith, thank you so much coming in from Jersey for this, and appreciate it. Joe, as always, it's always good to see you.
Thank you.
Terry, I get to see every day, so you're here. And Paul, thank you. You have been watching in honor of. It's our pleasure and our treat to bring the shows to you, and we try to be as informative as possible and give some of our advice and wisdom out to the viewer, and maybe in some way we can help you. And we're always available to give you help anytime you need it. You can reach us anytime here at the station at 718-727-1414. And you give us a call and we'll point you in the right direction and make sure that you got help. Thank you for watching Honor Of. We love you for watching. We'll continue to bring you shows like this.
Thank you.